Hey, welcome to the CMO Whisper Show. I'm your host, Steve Olensky. Part marketing practitioner, part ad agency veteran, part journalist. I was a writer for Forbes for 10 years. I've had so many insightful conversations over the years with business leaders, to athletes, to celebrities, to, of course, CMOs. The only difference now is instead of sharing those insights through written form, I'm doing it this way.
All right, folks, let's talk crayons, creativity, and some serious brand firepower. My guest today, Vicky Lozano, the CMO of Crayola. Yes, the company that basically defined many of our childhoods. My hand is raised. In her role, Vicky leads Crayola's consumer communications, partnership marketing, digital/omnichannel marketing, interactive app portfolio, education, and location-based entertainment. Now, before Crayola, Vicky ran the $1.2 billion gum and mints portfolio at Cadbury. Little brands like Trident and Dentyne, no big deal. She's also had big roles at Miller Brewing, Warner-Lambert, and Pfizer. What I love most about Vicky is she's not just a brand leader, she's a creativity evangelist with a business brain. We're talking about how you keep a legacy brand fresh, why creativity isn't just kid stuff, and what it takes to build something that actually matters. Vicky, I know it's been, we tried multiple times last year, but you're here now, and welcome.
So glad to be here, Steve. I really look forward to chatting with you.
It is going to be an absolute treat for me. And if I had younger kids, I would ask for the 64 or 120. Do you guys still make the 128 box, by the way?
120, that's right.
120, sorry. Oh my God, memories. And is it still the sharpener?
Of course, that's the best part.
Of course. Oh my God. Okay. Enough about Steve's reminiscing. I want to jump right into something that's in its second chapter, I think you should call it. And that's Crayola's campaign for creativity. So my first question is, for those not familiar, tell us about it.
Sure. Well, Campaign for Creativity kicked off officially last year. And the idea behind this is to really kind of elevate the narrative and the understanding and appreciation of creativity as an important life skill. You mentioned, Crayola is part of childhoods, right? All over the world, and especially in the United States. And what we want to really be able to talk about, how it's not only defining the memories, the nostalgia, and sort of like all these feelings around childhood, but also the incredible role Crayola and creativity in general play in child development and in how kids think, the kinds of skills that they develop in terms of critical thinking, problem solving, skills that really last a lifetime. And then we as adults continue to use, regardless of what careers that we choose and the paths that we take in life, the incredible importance that creativity plays. We as a brand have been inspired and, grounded in that since the beginning, 122 years ago. But what we're sort of finding is that in the general marketplace, around just, for consumers in general, there's a lot of myths and misconceptions around what creativity is, the role that it plays. And we sort of began this campaign with an effort to say, let's change some of this narrative. Let's really start a bigger societal conversation around what it is, why it matters, and how we collectively could nurture it, not only in our kids, but also in ourselves as adults. Because for us as adults, it continues to be a core part of who we are and how we sort of be the best version of ourselves and how we show up in the world every day.
I cannot tell you how much I love this. For kids, of course, anything with kids I'm in, but for adults. And as you're talking, one of the things one of the words that popped into mind, and maybe it's like a second cousin of creativity or something, but it's curiosity. I think
it is directly related. It's not a cousin. It is directly related. Being curious, exploring many possibilities are core behaviors associated with creativity. And when you get involved in hands-on creative experiences, so whether it be arts, whether it be baking, whether it be music, all those activities help your brain sort of explore those possibilities and explore being curious, explore not getting fixated about the right or wrong and how to problem solve, or something didn't work and I'm going to do it differently. And all those things are core elements of creativity, the core elements of creative behaviors. And that's what I mean when I talk about, creativity as a life skill. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I so love, there's so much being written today about, and a term I'm hearing is skills for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not replacing the 3 R's, that we all grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
the reading, writing, with, but it's in addition to, and it's critical thinking, and it's problem solving, and it's creativity. And then in the next breath is measuring all of it.
Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more, Steve, but what you're sort of poking at is exactly one of the tension points that this campaign tries to challenge. One of the things that we know is that there are a good portion of parents, somewhere around half of parents out there, believe and associate creativity specifically with the artistic pursuits. So the people will tell you that, yes, I value creativity, but then will also say, it matters most if my kids choose to pursue careers in, fields such as, fashion or the arts and whatnot. And things like curiosity and problem solving, critical thinking, that's agnostic of your career path. It is those soft skills that you could use in anything that you do. And I think that's the notion that we're trying to challenge. As I always talk about, as part of any interviews I give, is one of the long-standing partnerships that Crayola has is with NASA. And on one hand, you'd say, what does Crayola and NASA have to do with each other? But that's exactly this point, right? NASA will be one of the first to tell you is they have 1,000 careers in their organization, and they all use creativity to get their jobs done. So challenging that notion and that perception of how you use, it is not replacing, it's an addition. And unfortunately, we tend to unconsciously unteach creativity when we focus on these hard skills, on the 3 R's that we think our kids are going to need. We tend to unconsciously unteach some of these softer skills like creativity. And sometimes we as adults, even as we grow up and, we get into our careers, we get so fixated on being judged for the quality of the output that this fear and this barrier of using creativity and being involved in creativity means there has to be a productive output. I have to generate something and it has to be of a certain quality. And if I can't do that, I'm not creative. Nonsense.
You are, all right. I'm gonna hop on my soapbox for 1 second because you touched the nerve. So one of the things I love to do is the way I give back. One of the many ways I give back is to go talk to college students.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll stand in front of a group of college students. A lot of times it's business or marketing. And I'll say, raise your hand if you think you're creative. And I purposely keep it that ambiguous. Maybe half raised their hand. And I'll go, believe it or not, every single person in this room is creative. But society has these labels of what creative means, meaning, like you said, the arts and other things that have been deemed, quote, creative jobs. And I'll take an example of someone who didn't raise their hand. I said, how did you get here today? Well, I took the train. I didn't stop. You were creative, right? And you see the light bulb go on. So you are absolutely preaching to the ultimate choir when you say this.
Absolutely. Those are the misperceptions. Those are the myths. And I think we sometimes limit ourselves in how we use it and how we apply it. And frankly, the value we get out of it. So our whole effort is to, like I said, is to really change some of these societal misconceptions and societal understanding, evaluation of creativity, because we believe it matters. It matters so much. There's also, what you're also kind of alluding to is this myth is that creativity or Crayola is just for kids. And, sort of sometimes it's also limiting in the way that we think about it. And, if you think about it, and I'll just talk about Crayola for a second, over 50% of households who purchased Crayola last year do not have children present in the household. And some of them are grandparents, but half of them are not. They're buying it for themselves. And what it's really they're buying for is because those kinds of activities play a role in their life and they help them unleash and express certain parts of themselves that is reminding them of some of that creativity, reminding them that they can then go and use in their everyday life. It is just so important.
It's beyond important. Again, totally. We'll save this for part 2 because I could have an hour discussion just on this topic. But I absolutely want to be respectful and I want to get to Cadence, who is the young artist, for those not familiar. And please elaborate on what I'm about to say. But her drawing inspired the Crayola's Creative Active Colors campaign, right? So tell us about that campaign. Tell us about Cadence. And then why was it so important to build the campaign around her story?
Just for a little bit of context, so Crayola Campaign for Creativity started last year, and one of our main focus was around what we call the art return. It was really telling the story and the importance of creativity through the means of searching for and finding some of original creators for art that Crayola had in our archives, dating back to 40 years. And that part of the campaign actually won a number of different awards, including 3 bronze Cannes Lions a couple of weeks ago. And this part of the campaign sort of evolving into what you're talking about right now, which is creative arts of color. And it's focusing on this idea of how color inspires creativity. Cadence is a really special child that she's 9 years old. And this part of the campaign, she actually created this drawing, which is really pretty phenomenal. And we're asking for creators everywhere to help join the cause of basically getting inspired by her drawing and creating their own creations in whatever form, in whatever kind of medium that they want, and sharing that with the world. And really what we're trying to A, show how color inspires creativity, and B, how creativity inspires creativity and begets and sort of becomes this bigger movement that we can all be part of. And we just kicked this off last week, got a tremendous response to her story, to her drawing. And we're actively working with a number of creators that have raised their hands right now and say, I want to create something for Cadence. Our goal is to actually create a surprise reveal so that Cadence can really see the tremendous amount of creativity, passion that her work has inspired. And Cadence, while she's a very, very special child, as individually, she's also kind of represents all children out there, and just tremendous power, their imagination, their creativity, and the way that they, that they use color, the tremendous impact that they can make on the world.
That's fantastic. You kind of answered my second part of that question is, what does her journey represent for the brand? But if you want to elaborate, please do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As you know, Crayola is sort of a brand that is really associated and is really built on color. And specifically, not just color, but the emotion behind color. How many people will tell you, my favorite color is, razzmatazz or raw umber or some of these really special Crayola color names, because those colors evoke nostalgia. They bring back memories. They're often associated with certain events in your life, right? And everybody has a color story. In fact, wherever I go, if I ever say, I work for Crayola, a couple of things happen every single time. First, there's a smile. Second, they tell me what their favorite color is. And then they ask me if I'm actually part of coming up with new colors. So it is just such an important part of the brand. And we as people, right? And we know color inspires creativity. So we're sort of trying to reframe it as a, not just a thing or a product, attributes, but truly a tool for emotional connection and child development. And Cadence is really helping us bring that story to life.
Not that you asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. My favorite color has always been sky blue, assuming it's still called that.
It is. It is.
It's always been my favorite crayon.
Well, mine is wisteria. So it's, everybody's got a story.
Everybody's got a story. Exactly.
Everybody's got a story.
So the color part is really, really interesting, right? And the emotional side to it, right? But then there's the developmental side.
Mm-hmm.
So Crayola, you can look at how many years ago was the company?
122 years.
122 years. So it's a startup. That's sarcastically. Colors were the product feature, right? Back then. Of course they were. You got to get your name out. But now it's got into so much more. And I love that the company is kind of reframing, if that's the word, the color aspect of you, if you will, that deeper emotional, and just as important to me, or even not more, is that developmental side. And it's not just a product feature.
Yeah. No, it is an incredibly emotional thing. And I think it's just about time, who better than Crayola, who's going to tell stories, right? The story of color in the way that not only showcases, but actually engages creators, engages consumers. And actually, again, part of this campaign is to start a broader conversation, right? Around the importance and value of creativity. And color is something that unites generations. It's not just for kids. We've done, interestingly, we've done some research very recently talking about, favorite colors specifically. And one of the things that we found is this notion of we all have one favorite color is actually not true. There's a huge portion, vast majority of people actually have multiple favorite colors, and it triggers different emotions. It triggers different memories, right? And that's cross-generational. You could be 5 years old. You could be 95 years old, and you will have your favorite color, and you will have a multiple, and you will have your story. And it's really just, it's cross-generational.
Interesting. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about my other favorite colors. I'll do some self-reflection and we're back.
Well, please let me know. I'm curious now.
I will do that. I want to shift a little bit to brand purpose and advocacy. Over the past, 3 to 5, 7 years, it's really taken on a different meaning, especially in the younger generation where Gen Z and Gen Y want to work with brands who really have a purpose.
Sure.
The question as a CMO, and I like to pose this to every CMO in every industry, is how do you make sure it's not just perceived as a marketing play?
Well, I think authenticity, right? Authenticity is key. If it smells and feels like something that you decided to do as this year's campaign, that would be doing it wrong. If it feels like something that is truly, authentic and is tied to who you have been, who you are, or what you're really planning to be as a brand go forward, and you are consistent. It can't just be a marketing campaign. I think that's a big, Rule 101 mistake in my humble opinion. It has to be part of who you are, and it has to live through your culture. It's kind of like what we sometimes like to say, do your insides match your outsides, right? It has to be true how you think as a company, how you behave internally, your culture, and then it shows up in how you, and how you show up and how you talk to the outside world. I think Crayola is very fortunate in that space, is that the mission and the purposefulness and the advocacy for creativity as just a human, a superpower and a special power has been in place for 122 years. So frankly, for us, it wasn't that hard. It really was more focused on how do we be more purposeful in sharing that mission and talking about it, and not just talking about it in the context of our brand, but broader, the importance to society, importance to the role in their development, the role it plays in adults' lives when they use it for themselves. All of that for us, it was really around how do we be more proactive? How do we play that category leadership role? Because it was already true who we were as a brand, how we functioned as a company, how we made our decisions, the choices that we made, the decisions that we made. It was really finding that voice in bringing it forward in the campaign. And that's what this campaign for creativity has been doing for us, and why it's been not only so important, but the reason this campaign has really been striking a chord with whether it's, consumers, whether it's our partners, is because of that authenticity. And because when you see it, you go, but of course, as, Crayola as a brand would be able to lead that narrative.
I have long since, and I will take this to my grave, marketers collectively do not give consumers enough credit. And what I mean by that is, yes, they know brands are in business to make money, of course, but going back to what you said about being consistent and being transparent and really actions matching words.
Yeah.
It sounds so simplistic, sorry to interrupt you, but it just blows my mind when I see brands not quote unquote getting it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think the other thing that sometimes marketers really get caught up in, and it sounds silly, but it happens all the time, is marketers get so focused on what they want to say, right? And what they're solving for and what their kind of, campaign of the moment. And sometimes they forgot to think about what does the consumer actually need or want to hear, right? And you end up with this campaign that is really about, let me tell you what I need to tell you, versus how does this brand truly is meaningfully helpful? How is it relevant? And when you look for something, go back to your original question, is purpose, right? And purpose-driven campaigns, the only way you can resonate is if you are actually delivering a message or doing something that people care about. It's not about what you want to say. It's about what they want to hear.
Can you repeat that?
The last part?
Not about what, I love that.
It's not about what you want to say. It's about what they want or need to hear.
Okay. Can everyone please stop, hit pause, write that down, plaster it. And you're probably going, but Steve, it's so simple. And that's the point. So kudos. That was awesome. And it just flowed. I love that. No script, nothing. Okay, we're on the ground level. I'm going to come back up now to the 30,000 foot view about marketing. And I would be remiss, of course, if I didn't bring up those two little letters that's permeating every marketing everywhere is AI. How's it showing up in your marketing? Like, and upside and not just hype. How are you balancing that?
Sure. Well, and not that surprisingly, and consistent with what's conversations everybody's having, right? Is what role does AI play and how is impacting our jobs and how it's impacting how we do work? I would say that there's a lot more actively going on. I would say that's true for Crayola, but just based on all the other CMOs that I've talked to, I think it's generally true about everywhere. Is that AI is already heavily impacting and is getting integrated in how we do the work, right? I think the bigger debate is how does it really show up in the sort of forward-facing things that consumer truly sees and that the consumer gets to interact with. I think that's the place that is actually more tension points and more debate. And especially, as you can imagine, a brand that is sort of rooted and based on advocates for creativity. Well, wait a minute. Does that mean that's in conflict, right? And I actually believe, no, it's not. I think if you really think about what I talked about earlier, that for a lot of people, one of the barriers to creativity is this expectations of productivity and expectation of how I spend my time and expectations of the kind of output. And it becomes a barrier that prevents many adults from actually re-engaging in creativity in a lot of ways. And I do mean specifically right now, creativity, not just in the context of jobs, but more like as, experiences they may do for hobbies, for wellness, for stress reliefs, which is obviously a thing. And if you think about in that context, somebody said this to me the other day, and I actually did write it down because I thought it was just perfect, is, AI gives people courage to be creative, a little bit of that help that, I can actually create some of these amazing things. So if we think about it in that context, why shouldn't it be harnessed, used, and, and be able to actually use to help people express and get involved in creativity, just do it right. So I think that the point for us is finding that balance and how do you do it right? So it could be used as a tool. It could be used to give people courage and help overcome some of the barriers that we know are keeping some folks from getting engaged and re-engaged in creativity, and really kind of make it a tool for empowerment. That's the debate that we're having. The fact that we're using it and we're going to continue to use it to a greater degree and just getting work done, no question. It's that consumer-facing, call it experiential use of AI that I think really intrigues me, because it could be, a tool for empowerment if you do it right.
Oh, 1,000%. But the operative is if you do it right.
Exactly.
Right. Which
and that's really what we're pressure testing, right? If you're going to sweat details, those are the details that we're sweating right now. How do you do it right?
Okay. I've been waiting to ask you this question because it's one of the ultimate marketing debates.
Mm-hmm.
Brand versus performance. It gets debated, as you know, it gets written about. If I see one more study on brand versus performance, if I just say brand versus, what comes to mind, like a word association?
I think it's a bit of a silly debate. I think you don't have performance unless you have a brand, but you need both. And they play a different role, and it is part of your mix, right? You don't convert at the same rate at lower funnel if you don't have a strong brand. But you can build brand and just do, lots of fluffy things without actually closing that loop. So I think the debate isn't, either or. The debate is how to use them right and what's the right mix. Because I think the way that I usually like to talk about it, I think for marketing and the way that I view my job, and I think generally think about marketing, is I think our jobs are twofold. You got to build the brand and you got to drive revenue. And to me, revenue and performance are sort of, I'm using them interchangeably in this context. So you have to do both because they both play a role. And I think whether it is a truly activation and marketing, like the campaign for creativity, or whether it's a revenue generating business, like what we do in the interactive space or what we do in location-based entertainment, you have both of those components. They might be slightly different mixes depending on what you're doing, but you got to build the brand and you got to drive the revenue. And you have to have the right sort of KPIs and measurements that you are going to choose that are important in order to be able to understand how those two interact for your specific business. and then how you want to track and define your success criteria so that everyone organizationally, including your CFO, understand, are aligned and are supportive of the direction that you're going.
Okay. Again, go back and pause this again, people. Everybody, please. You don't have to pick. Thank you for saying what I'm thinking. And I think a lot of marketers think you don't have to choose between brand versus performance.
You don't. You need both.
You need both. Exactly.
Really need, I think, the expertise and the nuance is in the balance and how you go about doing it for your specific business and your brand.
Exactly. All right. Before we get to some fun as we wrap up, let's put the prognosticating hat on. What are some shifts you see in consumer behavior or tech in the next 3, 5, 7 years that you're not betting on, but anticipate? Or what do you think is going to happen? Give me some predictions.
I mean, I think ongoing growth and use of technology, no question. I mean, that's been happening for how many years, and it's going to continue to happen. And AI is part of that conversation, but not the only part, right? I think general fragmentation of marketing vehicle, of marketing mix, how you invest your money, kind of economies of scale. I think that's also been a trend that's been happening over the last number of years, and I think will continue to happen. I think the part that some of the trends that I worry most about, if I may, is, if you look at how I think technology is not a substitute to hands-on, but the way that technology is impacting how, especially in kids, right? Attention spans, ability to focus, ability to problem solve in terms of the amount of time that you actually focus on something and you're like resilience to be able to adjust and modify so you can work it out. Those are some of the things that I sort of worry about, even when I look at my kids and the way that they use technology and social media. So it's not about social media and the fragmentation that it's causing in marketing. I think that's not the part that worries me. It's really more of those just some human behaviors and traits and kind of like brain impact, if I may use that word, that probably worries me just as a marketer, as a parent. And I think those are the things that we have to be thinking about for us, for adults, but especially for future generations, and how we sort of balance those trends with the ability to keep some of these incredible human brain powers that we all, innately sort of have and born with, and how do we continue to nurture them?
One of the things that worries me, and I think it dovetails perfectly into what you're saying, and I'm saying this because I know I'm a natural conversationalist, but what worries me is future generations to have the ability to do what you and I are literally been doing for the past 30 minutes, which is engage in the conversation. Think about a job interview. Like, are we be able to hold conversations? Like, that's a major, major issue for me.
Yeah, so I really do think, while it might, ability to just go and do something hands-on, to do something creative, whatever that medium is, or whatever. If you're baking, if you're playing music, and if you're putting marks on paper, if you're using digital creativity, it doesn't matter. But your ability for your brain to just reframe yourself, whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, an ability to just immerse, to focus, to engage. I think it's just the benefits of it are way beyond the time that you spend doing it. I like to refer to as like, those are kind of like the moments in time when you're doing it. Those are the little C's, like the little creative moments, but they add up to the big C, that as a creativity, which is just so important for all of the reasons that we've just talked about and you just mentioned. The little C's add up to a big C, and that's the thing that we want to maintain and sort of preserve as an innately human, ability and the trait that is just so incredibly special.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Okay, comes to the point now where let's have some fun. I call this last section, Vicky, the Random 5, where I ask each guest 5 random questions to get to know you as a person, kind of rapid fire. So if you're game.
Yeah, let's go.
Number 1, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
I was a junior champion cross-country skier.
Interesting. I assume you still ski?
And so. There you go.
Okay. Number 2, what's one book, movie, or show you wish you could experience again for the first time?
Oh my goodness.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Okay, let's pass. I'll do the next one.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure when you need a brain break?
I want to sit on the couch, read a book, and not be bothered for a while.
Okay. Next, if your life had a soundtrack, what genre would it be?
Oh, honestly, it would be a mixtape. A little bit of everything.
Okay. Eclectic. That's the word I'm going for. Or maybe eccentric. Finally, is there a quote or mantra that has stuck with you over the years?
Absolutely. There's one that a friend had told me much earlier in my life when I was really stressing about something. And she just said to me, human capacity grows. And I've used that for so many things over so many years. When you feel like something, hey, how is this going to happen? How am I going to handle something? Take a breath. I just said, human capacity grows. It will be fine. I will figure it out. I believe in myself. I will figure it out. And at the end, you always think, she was right.
Okay, let me reframe that other questions. Is there a book or movie or show that has had a big impact on you?
I don't know that there is. I'm actually not highly selective on movies and different genres. And I have a really kind of a penchant for watching movies that are simply for the entertainment value. So I'm probably going to be too embarrassed to name some titles because it is not a deeply meaningful pursuit.
But that's your escape, though.
Say it again?
That's your escape.
Exactly. It's not about, for me, it's not about deep thought and education and life-changing moments. This is about brain relief and entertainment and the break in my day. So I'm not going to embarrass myself of naming some titles that I enjoy.
I won't put you on this. Well, listen, Vicky, I knew this was going to be a blast. Thank you so much. My listeners are going to learn so much. I absolutely want to already schedule part 2. Just an incredible conversation. So thank you.
That sounds great. We'd love to do that, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the CMO Whisperer Show. I hope you shared this episode with your friends. And if you have not already, please subscribe to be kept up to date on all the latest episodes. And if you're so inclined, leave me a review on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you.